Hope it works.
Yeah, looks like it is.
Well, it says we're live.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Mine says it's still loading. There we go. All right. Well, hello everyone. This is a bit of a unusual kind of thing for the YRs. We're doing something called casual chats, where we just kind of talk to people casually. And this time we're talking to Justin, who's from California District 24. He's that's a congressional district with candidates that having a special election. It's going to be Republican Mike Garcia, who will be on a national Young Republican thing tomorrow. So if you want to check out the candidate, you can go and listen into that tomorrow. But I'll let Justin introduce himself.
Hi, well, I'm Justin. I'm the chairman of the Young Republicans out here in California's 25th Congressional District. And yeah, so I guess that's me.
And Jacob, I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Hi, everyone. Some of you may remember me. I'm Jacob Minnock. I am the Iowa Federation of Young Republicans State Treasurer. I'm a graduate student in Iowa State. That's really about all there is. Deborah?
Okay, well, if you're listening to this, feel free to ask any questions. I'll be checking in to make sure that we try to answer them to the best of our abilities. But generally, I'm going to first ask Justin a question. Basically, just give us an overview of what your district's like, what laws have been passed recently that maybe in the statewide that we should know about if we're going to be calling.
So right now, our district is formerly a red district. We have had Republicans in our district for probably over 30 years before it flipped in 2018. So it's like the last little bit of red in like LA County. In 2018, Katie Hill won, and so did a number of other Democrats. And so we're experiencing similar things to what's happening in like Texas and other states, which are like, you see a lot of people from California moving there and, you know, turning the state blue, or from other states like New York. We're experiencing the same thing from LA City proper. They're moving into our area and bluing it out. So it's still winnable. It's a purple district, but there's a lot of change happening demographically. And then newer laws that we should, well, realistically, I think a lot of people are more concerned with like jobs, and our area is, I think, also going to be open to change because of obviously how disastrous Katie Hill was. I mean, she was sleeping with pretty much everybody but her husband. It's just kind of a mess, and we've been getting a lot of positive feedback from people when we're going around. I know on the local level, because I've been volunteering more on the state level races, and they've been very receptive because they're ready for change in California, because California's laws and you know, government is just way far left. So being a purple district, they're ready to like see some change. They tried the Democrats, didn't really work out that well for them. And so hopefully we're gonna be able to get this flip for Mike.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then tell us a little bit about Mike.
Okay, so Mike is, he grew up in district. He went to the Naval Academy and then became a fighter pilot in the Navy and did that for a long time until he kind of had his family and decided to move back to district and get into, you know, the whatever, aerospace, one of these aerospace companies. But that's a lot of people in our district go into, you know, because there's a lot of different aerospace manufacturers like Lockheed Martin and stuff. I think he worked for Raytheon. And so because of his background being a fighter pilot, was able to like know more about like planes and whatever. But he did that for years, and now he's, you know, getting in. He's a good guy who's been involved in our community. So now he's looking to step it up and, you know, run for Congress.
Yeah, and I'm actually really excited about him. My grandfather served in the Navy, so of course I'm a bit of a Navy brat myself.
Mhm.
But just for reference, Katy Hill is in California District 25. It's just a little bit north of, I think it still is in LA County, if I'm correct.
Correct. It's in LA County, where LA County, there's part of it that's in Ventura County, but most of it is in LA County. And it's like the northernmost part. It's a district filled with basically a bunch of like cops and firefighters and nurses and stuff. And yeah, so it's about like, it's not as what you're thinking about traditionally LA. It's a suburban kind of like sleepy community.
So you're trying to vote a fighter pilot to represent a whole bunch of heroes. Wow, you sound like that sounds like a really cool district.
It is.
Okay, so just for reference, I don't know how many districts California has, but Iowa has 4.
53.
53. Wow, that's
Wow.
a lot.
Yeah,
53
you're
for
gonna
only
have
7
to
Republicans.
excuse me. I don't quite know all my California districts.
Mhm.
4 in
Yeah,
Iowa, that's enough for me. So
Yeah, 4 in Iowa. I live in District 4, so does Jacob, I think. But we also lost 3 districts in 2018. And I think that's why this race particularly is important to Iowans, because we just feel like, you know, it's terrible that we lost the House. The House is just done nothing but try to, well, they impeached the president for one, but they've done everything wrong. And we just want to turn the House red again, because that will make it great again.
I mean, if we don't get Republicans in there, we can't really implement the president's agenda, because, I mean, Democrats are just too crazy and they're not going to work with him. Like, no matter how nice he is to them, they're not going to work with them. So you need Republicans, otherwise nothing's going to get done.
Yeah, I feel like Republicans are even more likely to be more like what we'd call moderate. They're more likely to say, okay, well, I'll vote for this, but I won't vote for that. That was in my former district back in California. We had a guy who didn't vote for some of the things Trump passed, but it made sense because he was raising taxes on high earners. And Dana Robacher, which was in an Orange County district, he voted against that. So I feel like Republicans are just more likely to vote as they represent their people rather than just the Democratic agenda.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, there were lots of Orange County districts. I mean, there's lots of districts here in California where we can flip the seat back. I think ours is literally the best chance. And also, I think it says something that, you know, we can flip a seat in Los Angeles County because it's a pretty blue state. I mean, all of our competitors, well, not all, but a lot of our competitors' money comes from like out of Hollywood. That's one of the big differences that Katy Hill brought to our district, was that she went down into like the Hollywood area and like started connecting with people down there who were fundraising for, you know, larger, you know, I think some of the people who were fundraising for presidential candidates and stuff. And so then it really hit hard because she was able to get so much money and out fundraise the incumbent, which Mike has done a really good job about, you know, staying on top of, you know, trying to meet both of them, because obviously, I think, should we like assume that everybody knows who Katy Hill is? I think probably not. So Katy Hill was the congressman who yes?
Yeah, you probably want to just give a brief.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So Katy Hill was our former congressman. She won the seat out from under Steve Knight. And she basically then went up to head up the freshman class and was a rising star in the Democratic Party. And it came out that basically she, while running for Congress, had a relationship with both her husband and a staffer, and then kept the staffer on as in a paid position where she didn't really do anything. I think she was like basically like one of our congressional district representatives or whatever, basically going around in district and communicating with constituents. But she was on the paid staff, and I think it looked a little shady, like that she was doing it for to keep secrets, basically. And then the husband got mad, I guess, because she was allegedly sleeping with the finance director while she was in Congress. And they were going through an ugly divorce anyways. And so he, I think again, allegedly, because I don't think it was proven, I think again, allegedly leaked photos, or she alleges that he leaked nude photos of her. And because of all this, and because, everything was going on, she stepped down rather than dealing with it. And it was a big scandal. And ultimately, the Democrats had to scramble and fill that position.
Yeah, because she stepped down, you're not running against her. It's not like a recall election. It's a special election because she stepped down, right?
Correct. Yes. It's a special election to fill the rest of Katie Hill's term. And then again, Mike won both in the regular special election and then in the regular election and the special election. And so did his competitor, because California has a jungle primary where the top two vote getters ultimately get up into the general race. And so he and Christy Smith both won their spots in special and general election.
Yeah, and just for reference, the jungle primary was voted in under Schwarzenegger, right? Governor Schwarzenegger, back when I was still in California.
And promised that basically that this would help both third-party candidates and Republicans out, and has not. Has been a help for Democrats mostly. Actually, in California, you had a Democrat in one district running against somebody in the Peace and Freedom Party, because there were so few Republicans in that district. So they couldn't even get a Republican to, get on the ballot. So that's how far left.
Yeah, and that's super common. If you have a jungle primary where Republicans and Democrats are running against each other, then you end up having a primary where two of the same party get elected, and then they have to choose between the primaries. Yeah, but Jacob, do you have something to say?
No.
Okay. We had a question posed by Ariana, who is Mike's opponent. I think Jennifer answered that. It's Christy Smith.
Oh, okay.
And then Brett asked, has there been much polling done for the special election?
I'm not familiar with the polling that's been done. I'm sure there has. I'm not familiar with it.
I think I remember that the YNR, so the national YRs, they sent out an email saying that it was really close. Like it turned from leaning Democrat to actually like purple or like middle, like could go any way. I don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm. Right, that's not surprising. I mean, we had an assembly race that happened in the 38th district. So Christy Smith is our current representative on the state level in our state assembly. And so her former seat is now, there are two Republicans running in that. And so what we found out from that race is that there are a lot of, again, Republicans who are ready and hungry, and, people, independents and both Republicans who want to see change on both the state level and then I think on our national congressional level in leadership.
Now you should use a state legislator. Does that mean she's voted for all these crazy stuff that has been passed into the state?
No, so uniquely, so Christy Smith is one of those people who is like a career politician, and she's been very careful about not voting for anything that might make anybody in our district angry. So she abstains a lot. So if it's a crazy law, she probably didn't vote for it. She probably managed to find something else to do and just not be there when that was happening.
Oh, that's a shame. Don't you vote people to vote? I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, but I guess if you want to win and be, congresswoman or senator someday, she doesn't want to have that on her record. So her record, she has a long record of not voting.
I just gotta say, a politician that doesn't do anything, that doesn't sound too bad. They're not going to screw up. Just assume you have a nice status quo. It's California, so you kind of don't, but
right, yeah, she somehow manages to vote for the things that they really need her for, but if they if she can get away with it, because there's a supermajority in California state legislature. So both in our state assembly and our state senate, there are enough Democrats not only to vote for anything they want, but to override anything that the governor vetoes. So.
Yeah. Although I don't think I've ever heard of Governor Newsom vetoing anything. So
I think he set it, unless it revolved around the death penalty. I think he didn't want to. I think he got rid of the death penalty in our state by executive order. Essentially.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. So for reference, for anybody who's all like, why does she know more about California? I used to live in California back when I was in college, and I grew up in California. I grew up in Orange County area, but I've kept up over the years as a Republican. So for example, I'm going to ask, because somebody asked online about AB5, and I know AB5 is a horrible bill, but Justin, do you know more about that, of how it affected people in your area?
AB5, I think that I don't know an extreme, so AB5 was the law surrounding, I think, the education system, right? And trying to put.
No, that was the one that was kicking out Vox journalists. That's what I remember it for. But it was, oh golly, it was something about so the Vox journalists, they were freelance journalists, and they were getting paid not like they were employees, but they were acting close enough to employees that
right. So that's the one. Also with the Uber drivers and stuff, that they had to basically treat them as employees and give them, I think, insurance.
I think that's right.
Right. So you couldn't have contract workers. They had to be full time if they were. You couldn't operate a business with contract work. They had to be, I think, covered.
Yeah, and thanks Spencer for correcting us, and Ariana as well. They're online going, no, you're getting it wrong.
Thank you guys.
My bad.
All right. Well, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them. Thanks for commenting, though. Correcting us. We're all new here, so.
So I've got a question for Justin.
Yeah.
So obviously there really is no, for lack of a better term, cookie cutter Republican. Everyone's gonna vary as to why they support the Republican Party, and you're gonna see some different trends as you go, really even county by county within a state, but especially region to region, going from Midwest to West Coast. There's gonna be a huge difference in the mentality and the mindset. I know here in Iowa we have a strong religious conservative movement. They all vote Republican. You've got some people that are more just fiscally conservative. You've got some more social conservatives. Can you just try to explain? You don't need to necessarily go into a lot of detail if you don't want, but just sort of the dynamic of the Republican Party in California.
Right. So I think that the Republican Party in California is it's a pretty diverse party, and it's also, I think, it's to be a Republican in California, you have to be committed to the Republican Party, because it's not easy. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to give you a hard time. One of the reasons why we started the Young Republicans out in our area was because you can't really talk about politics, not just at, I bet most people can't talk about politics at work, but even in certain friend groups, they're just, if you're a Republican in California, there are just certain friend groups that are going to shut you down immediately. So having this space for young Republicans to go and talk and hang out and meet younger people, because unless you're going to go to the regular Republicans, they're all 60 plus. I think that's anywhere and everywhere.
I think me and Deborah dramatically lowered the average age of Republicans that are local county Republican meetings. If Brett's watching, whoops, I'm not implying you're old. Sorry, Brett. Brett's another fellow young Republican, but a couple years older than us.
We're trying to do that here on our end too, because they're great. They're really nice people, but it's not when they don't get your pop culture references, and you don't get like when you're talking like even like more mainstream people like Ben Shapiro, right? Or like, you know, Steven Crowder. Like they're just like, who, what? I don't understand. Like if it's not Bill
What is
O'Reilly.
the YouTube?
Exactly.
What's this tweeter?
But yeah, so the California Republican Party, they're a lot more committed, I think, and it's because California is so diverse. It is a widely diverse party. You're gonna find every kind of person, even
I
any
found
kind
when
of
I was there was a lot of Hispanics that actually
right.
supported like President Trump and everything, because they, like, for my family, I'm half Mexican, so
I did not
I
know
feel
that.
like legal immigration is really, really important to me because obviously my family came here. But I do feel like legal immigration is important. And I met a lot of, when I was a CR there, I met a lot of Hispanic Republicans. So that's one area of diversity I'm familiar with. But
right, yeah, no, I'm an immigrant as well, and so like that's also been something that's been that you see a lot of like people who are immigrants who tend to like come to the Republican Party like because they went through the process, they came to this country, they did everything right, and then they get here and they just see a bunch of people who skip the line and kind of get rewarded for it.
yeah, that can be frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so our California Republican Party, we're working hard to try to keep things from going off the rails. They're really committed to trying to get more Republicans in every like part of government, because right now the Democrats really run the show, but there's still people here and we're fighting.
Keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to
We're
get
all
some
rooting for you.
questions down here that are commented. So Brett asked a little bit a while ago before he said I'd let it slide about the age.
Age comment.
So he asked how Iowans can really help get involved, and I can answer that question, or one of you guys can. But we have a phone bank online on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, so that's 1 p.m. our time. Is that really early for you guys? Like 11? That's early.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that bad. People will be awake and doing stuff.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, the phone banking would really help. I mean, we're not probably going to be knocking on doors for a while. I mean, even I think coming closer to November, I think we'll be out of the lockdown, but I don't think people will be answering doors. I think they're going to still be too scared of the coronavirus. So I think that this whole like cycle is going to be has going to switched over completely to like door knocking and then mailers, just because I think of the way that until there's like a vaccine, people aren't going to be really hospitable about having somebody come to their door unless they're like, I guess, wearing a mask. I mean, do you really want to get anything from somebody who's like, I got my mask and gloves on here, let me tell you about this politician? I feel like that's just not going to work. So I think you're just going to have to stick to like phone calling. And so yeah, I mean, if we can reach these people, get the information to them so that they know that there's a great guy running for Congress, I think that'll really help out tremendously.
Yeah, and I should also mention that the National YR is heading up that online phone bank for people our age to go call. And I think that's really important because some people think, oh, young people, they're all Bernie Sanders supporters. They just want socialism forever. And we're all like, no, please save our generation. So I think it's important for somebody to hear a young voice on the phone saying, hey, you should vote for Mike Garcia.
Yeah, no, the amount of times like I've gone door to door and like somebody like stops me and like was like, why are you a Republican? Why are you supporting this person? Like, who are they? Like, and like it gives them like a head check, like, they try to like, at least look at it because they're like, who is this? Like, how did this politician get this young person to do this for them? And I think it really at least makes them more receptive to hear the info.
Yeah. So we have a question. Oh no, I think here it is. So what's the biggest issue, like political issue for YRs in District 25? And how does electing Mike Garcia help solve that issue?
And so I think that our biggest political issue is definitely jobs. I mean, Katie Hill went to Washington and didn't vote for a lot of the bills that are surrounding, the military, right? She kind of cut back or tried to cut back on some of the military spending, but like not in a good way. Like a lot of our jobs here are in the aerospace industry. Like Mike is tailor-made for it because we have a lot of veterans and we have a lot of people who work in the aerospace industry out here. And a lot of that funding got cut. And so he knows, as a veteran, I think he knows what kind of funding is necessary for the military, and what, both coming from the Raytheon background too, he'll be able to, know what we need to pass to get that flowing for our military industries out here.
Yeah, so that's a huge difference between Iowa, at least our district here in Iowa, 4th District, which is a huge rural farming. More people are going to know how to drive a John Deere than fly a plane. Versus out there, it sounds like it's especially
a fighter plane.
Yeah, especially a fighter plane. Especially the Navy when we're in Iowa. So I think it's really important.
It'd be like if you're like somebody in your district went to like Washington and then like cut agriculture spending, you know what I mean? Like cut the funding or subsidies for like agriculture, farmers, and just made it harder for them to be farmers. Like, it's just like, why would you do that? Like,
yeah, they'd probably get voted out like really quickly.
Pretty quickly.
And that's what's our concern, because we have a district race right in here. So we have 5 GOP candidates for 4th District and 1 Democrat. And he's like all cozying up with Bernie Sanders. And we're just like, he's going to cut all those agricultural stuff because it's not fair. We just need to give money to people.
Take that money out and just give it to people in like a blank, like Andrew Yang type check. Like, no.
Yeah. So I did some research, and apparently AB5, there's this GOP-led effort to suspend AB5, and she voted against it. So Christy Smith, that is the Democrat running against Mike Garcia. So I think if you're looking at who to vote for, I don't know why anybody would watch this to figure out who to vote for, but be better off listening to the candidates. But right. I think Christy Smith might actually vote against things that would help her district, which I think is a really dangerous thing to do in any candidate. Obviously, but I don't advocate voting for Democrats ever, so.
Right. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, we might just need to wrap up. Oh, Brett posted as Young Republicans that just so people have it, the National Day of Action for Mike Garcia is on Saturday, May 9th. Each state chapter wants to send 5 volunteers for the online phone bank. It's a competition, if you didn't know. So we're just asking that just 5 people would be nice. 5 people from every state. That's what, 250 volunteers calling for 1 district. So that would be awesome. I hope that would help you guys.
It would help tremendously.
So, yeah. I guess that's it. If nobody has any more questions, or if anybody wants to, oh wait, we have one more question. Go ahead, Jacob.
Okay, didn't know if that was one from online or so with phone banking, obviously whenever you call, as we mentioned earlier, just a very different dynamic, different Republican climate out in California. Do you have any tips for anyone that is planning on phone banking and just how to talk to those voters?
I think that if you're talking to a Republican, they're going to be really excited. But yeah, I think that, they should be. So don't worry about it. Like, don't be stressed. It's generally positive. I mean, I've gone out knocking door to door before everything shut down, and people are, I think, very receptive, very positive. And even if they like not going to like, stay on the phone with you and like hear everything out, they'll be, relatively nice to you. They'll be like, okay. So don't think that they're going to be any like far left, unless they, there's a D next to their name, then that's it. That's a completely different story. But I think most of people will be calling like Republicans and nobody preference. They'll be very nice to you. So you don't have to worry about any kind of negative feedback. I don't think. That hasn't been my experience though.
And then one question on Facebook: is Trump support for Mike Garcia helping or hurting his chances to win?
I think that Trump support I think that it doesn't really matter, to be honest. I mean, everybody already thinks that if you're a Republican, you're basically like you love Trump. So even if somebody ran and didn't support Donald Trump, it doesn't really make a difference because that kind of Trump, association hangs over all Republicans. So it doesn't matter. Everybody just assumes that if you're a Republican, you love Trump. So whether or not he actually, which Mike does support the president, people are already going to assume that anyways.
Yeah, and I think for my 2 cents, it really, Democrats are going to attack you for anything. They're going to attack you for stuff Trump never did. So
right.
It really doesn't matter, in my opinion. I mean, I call people for Iowa, and sometimes they ask me like, how could you support Trump? And I'm like, well, in your district, I might say something like, oh, he supported the military. That was great. That was something that we appreciate.
Mm. So. Yeah, so yeah, I'm sure that like, that's not really going to come up. If people don't really like Trump, they're not really going to vote for a Republican anyways.
So 2 more questions, and then I think we'll stop. Have voters been more receptive to calls in this pandemic environment, or have you seen any difference?
I think voters, I haven't really done too much phone calling since this whole thing started, so I don't really have a point of reference, but I would have to imagine that, it's the only thing that we can do, and you got to respect the hustle,
Always respect the hustle.
And then Spencer wanted to know if there's another day that people could call if, for example, they're watching this on Sunday.
No, I mean, we're going to be working hard until the election happens. And then once the election happens, even then this is the special election, but there's a general election just around the corner. And I'm sure Mike would welcome people from wherever you are. If you're in Iowa, if you're here in California, to, go online, sign up to be a volunteer, and at any point, they'll get in contact with you and you can help out.
So you can sign up on Mike Garcia's website?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And then, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to follow questions. So I think we covered that Republicans already have Trump. So the question was, is Trump's support for Mike Garcia helping or hurting? And then among Republicans, and I think it's really doesn't make a difference either way.
Yeah. No.
Not making a huge difference. I know some people have changed to non-party preference just because it's been so bad to be a Republican. Like
right.
In the college Republicans, we used to have coming out ceremonies for it got bad for a while. And then a couple of our friends got punched and, lots of fun.
Oh, no.
So just to wrap up, because I know a lot of us have events coming up. So here's the coverage of all of them. So tomorrow night is Thursday night. There is the National YR Live, and hopefully we'll be able to post that on this. There's National YR Live featuring Mike Garcia. But competing with that is, if you live in 4th District, Iowa, you should come and listen to our live.
Or if you enjoy 4th District Iowa politics, which normally there isn't too much going on.
Yeah, but right now it's 5 Republican candidates all running at once. It's exciting.
5 a primary. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, and it's not a jungle primary, so
No.
yeah. So if you want to watch that, it'll actually be fun. And we'll probably try to keep it short. I'm not sure if it overlaps. I can't remember the time. For us, it's going to be 6 p.m. Central, I believe. That's right, Jacob? That sounds right. And then I don't know
It's
when
either
the
6 or
live.
7 Central. But and then the format, I believe every candidate is going to have the same amount of time to speak, talk a little about themselves, and then me and another Iowa Younger will be moderating. We'll be reading off questions that you guys can just post live on Facebook, very similar to this. We'll ask the candidates the question, or whatever candidate is currently on that question. When their time is off, we're going to have to be pretty firm, say thank you for your time, move on to the next candidate, rinse and repeat until everyone is done. As of now, we have 4 of the 5 candidates that are 100% guaranteed. We're pretty sure we're going to get number 5. So
Yeah, that'd be nice to get all 5.
that he may have already confirmed and just I'm out of the loop. Who knows? Had to finish up my classes today, so.
Yep. So then there's if you want to actually hear from Mike Garcia, he's meeting with Young Republicans on Thursday night. I know both will probably be recorded, so you could probably watch one and then watch the other in subsequence if you felt like you couldn't watch both live if they're both at the same time. And then on Saturday, it's the call-in. We're trying to get at least 5 Iowans, 5 from every state, so that'd be great, to call in and support Mike Garcia. And then after that, it's just get involved with your local YR chapter if you're a Young Republican or you're Republicans locally. You can always get involved with us anyway. We don't care your age.
Even if you're older than 40, we'd love to have you.
We'll still put you to work.
In a couple years, you'll still be welcome here.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Justin. Thanks, Jacob. I will.
Thank you, Justin.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.